Hey everybody, welcome back to the kitchen. This is Mary and I'm going to can some green beans. Yeah, you heard me right. I'm cutting up meat, but I'm going to can green beans. I have some Conecuh brand sausage and I'm going to put that in there with the green beans. I'm also going to put some potatoes in there. Last year I had canned some beans with kielbasa and potatoes, and oh my goodness, those things did not last long at all. So I have these cut up into small pieces. I'm going to put them in there and I'm going to sear them. This one is the Conecuh brand sausage, and oh my goodness, that is so good. Have you folks ever tried that brand? It's a Cajun sausage. This one is hickory smoked. This one is cracked black pepper. What do you folks put in your beans when you can them? I like to always switch it up and try different things because you never know what's going to be a hit. So whenever we can do the beans, potatoes, and the meat for a meal in a jar, that's always a hit at my house. These are a bigger size than what the other ones are. I'm going to turn those around. I'm going to sear them for just until I start getting a little brown, because these are going to be fully cooked in the jars, folks. While these are browning, I'm going to go ahead and get my jars together, and I'm going to get the rest of my veggies to go in there. Okay. Our sausage is getting good and brown, and I'm putting the potatoes in the jar. Now guys, what I did with these potatoes is, number one, we dug them yesterday. These are fresh from our garden. These are Yukon Golds. But I peeled them. I put them in water to soak. They've been soaking for about 3 or 4 hours. And I put 2 or 3 tablespoons of lemon juice in that water to help draw the starch out and to keep the color nice in there. I'm putting, I don't know, a half cup, 3/4 cup or something like that per jar. The amount that you put per jar is entirely up to you. But this amount works for us. Go ahead and use this up. Okay. Folks, these are our Blue Lake green beans that we grew. I've already washed them and broke them, and I put them in the refrigerator. I have my green beans. I'm just going to put it on top of my potatoes. Folks, again, the amount is up to you as to the proportions that you use in here. I'm going to get 2 or 3 pieces of each kind of sausage and put in there. Shake it around. See how much that went down? A little bit more beans. And we're going to leave our 1-inch headspace on that. So I'm going to set that aside until I get all of these jars filled. I think I'll put my sausages in first on this one. That way I don't get the sausage grease on my hands whenever I'm shaking them up. You folks think that's a good idea to do it in this order? Let me know in the comments. So again, I'll just throw the beans in there. Mash them down. Shake them up. And we will add water and debubble and stuff like that, folks, and it will settle down a little bit more. So I'm not going to put them in the canner with a lot of extra gaps in there. We will work hard to fill that. So let me get the rest of these done, and then we'll get ready to get this in the canner. Okay, I have all my jars filled, and I wipe the rim off. Now normally I just put water on my paper towel, but where I'm dealing with meat and grease, I put white vinegar to make sure that everything is clean in there. Okay, I put my funnel on there, and I'm going to add water to this. Now I'm not adding salt because the meat has a lot of salt in it, and we don't eat a lot of salt. You could easily add a half teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt. Okay, folks. Here's where the controversy begins. I'm not filling this all the way up to the top. Now, I have made these in the past, something similar, and I just got my green beans straight out of the water, and they were still dripping wet, so there was still a good amount of moisture on there. And I dry can them, which means canning without adding water. I've done potatoes that way, I've done beans, I've done lots of things. But where the beans are totally dry, I knew I couldn't do that because there's no moisture in there other than what little bit was off of that little cupful of potatoes. So I'm adding about a half of a jar of water. Okay. If you are not comfortable with not covering it all the way up, then cover it all the way up. But we like the flavor of the green beans better if they're not submerged in water. Everybody has a preference, but that's how our family likes them. If you've ever eaten leather britches or shuck beans, the flavor is similar. So I know I'm going to get a lot of comments, and most of them are going to be negative. So go ahead and we'll see if we can't work it out between us. But this is what I'm doing. So you see, potatoes, meat, beans, and about a half a jar of water. Okay. Everything in here is cold, so I'm starting everything off in a cold canner. You have to have cold, 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 or hot, hot, hot. That way you don't have any type of breakage. But I'm going to go ahead, get all these jars filled up, get them in the canner, and normally you would process green beans for 25 minutes in a quart, but you have to process for the meat time where there's meat in here. So these quarts will be processed for 90 minutes, folks. So let's get this on. Alright, we're just finishing up these last two jars. So set this aside. Now I've already wiped my rims off with vinegar. Again, we have our rings and flats. You notice I'm not cranking them down on there. I'm putting them on there finger tight. And with the new type of lids, you don't heat them in hot water. You just wash them and put them on here. So let's put this on here. Put them in the canner. Now, folks, I have hard water, and I do add white vinegar to that in order to keep the white film from getting all over my jars. Some people use cream of tartar. I've tried it, and honestly, it doesn't work for me. But if it works for you, then I'm sure it's a lot easier on your jars and rings than what the vinegar is. But going to get this on, turn it up, bring it up to temperature. I'm going to let it vent for 10 minutes. Then I'm going to start my timer, and it goes for 90 minutes. Okay, folks, as you can tell by all the light in here, I did not take these out of the canners last night. It was almost 11 before they got done, and by the time the pressure would drop, that's just way past my bedtime. So, took the weight off there. Well, let's see. Yes. Okay. What do you think, guys? That is a meal in the jar. The Conecuh, the green beans, and the potatoes. All of these have sealed. So that is just absolutely, like I said, it's a meal in a jar. It's absolutely fantastic. But what do you guys think? Filling them halfway up with water? Is that rebel canning? They have plenty of liquid in there. A lot of people say, oh, it's not good because it don't have liquid. Well, that's enough. What do you think? But anyways, folks, thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Like the channel, like the video, share them, and I'll see you on that next video.